Hey, today we are going to work on our feet a little bit. We did our hands some yesterday, so today we're just going to do a little quick session with our feet because we are on our feet a lot and they take the brunt of our weight. We have to take good care of feet. There's a saying in the equestrian world, no hoof, no horse, so that can apply to people, maybe, no feet, no people. So have a block handy. If you have a couple of balls, grab them. If you don't, you can improvise. And then maybe have an extra yoga mat, or if you have a small foam roller, something that'll kind of give, go ahead and grab that. So we're just gonna start out with the balls right under our feet. We're gonna be sitting down and just, you're gonna get a good look at my feet and see that I really need a pedicure. But just roll the balls around. Start a deep breath. And there's little balls you can get with like little spikes and stuff on them, but you wouldn't want to stand up on them, which we're gonna stand up in a little bit. But you would not do that with little prongs on the balls. So go ahead and just alternate your feet. And then bring them back, roll these balls back. Get your hands behind you. You may want one block or two blocks to kind of lift yourself up, but just push yourself into a reverse table. I'm going to peek around my knees just so I can turn sideways so my feet are right in the front. And you can see what I'm doing. But you're just pressing down, kind of lift up. The higher up you lift, a little more pressure you'll get on your feet. And then just start, whoops. That's kind of the problem you have with the balls, is you slip off of them and they shoot across the room. Just roll one foot back and forth. Suddenly getting hoarse. And then go with the other foot. Be sure you breathe. And then just lower your hips down. Take your feet off the balls. Just set them to the side. And then stretch one leg out. And turn that way so my big old foot's not in the floor or in the frame. So pick your other foot up and just bring it over. Put your hand on your toes and just start to roll the toes around. And then go the other way. Then you're going to take the same hand as the foot and just roll the toes back and forth. So you're getting a stretch here on the top of the foot. And then you're doing little forward bends and back bends with your toes. Now curl the toes under. Scoot around. So just roll the toes down. You've got your fingers under your toes. Watch out if you have long fingernails. And then take your other hand, the index finger and your middle finger, and right here in the middle of your foot, just slide your fingers down, right, probably about maybe an inch. Depends on how wide your foot is. And then pull your toes back, and you're going to feel something push into your fingers. Plantar fascia, medial tarsal nerve. So we're going to start down here at the heel, and you're going to press, and you're going to run right up that to about the ball of the foot. And then you're going to start over and do it again several more times. This is really, really good for your feet. This might be something you do at the very end of the day. Might be something you do at the beginning of the day, maybe both. Do it while you're, if you're a bath person, while you're sitting in the bathtub. And you might feel, I don't feel it on my left foot, but my right foot I will. You might feel little things like seeds popping, like you're shelling peas. So the more you do this, the less of that you should feel. And then just release those toes. Now take your thumb right into the middle of the ball of your foot and just gently press. Take a couple of breaths. And then move it over under the big toe. And then out towards the little toe. And then release that. Now take your index finger, put it right under your toes. And then we're going to take our toes and just curl them around that index finger like you're a bird on a branch. And take some breaths. Probably want to do this before you get hot and sweaty because your feet have 250,000 sweat glands in them. So middle of the day in July after you've been out working, you probably don't want to do this. And then slowly release, kind of shake out that leg, bring your other foot in and just roll the toes around. Both ways. This is a good thing to do, even if this is the only thing you can do for your feet. Just roll the little toes around. When you think about it, sitting at your desk or sitting in the car or sitting watching TV, just wiggle your toes. And then push them back and forth, little forward bends and backward bends, and then you stretch the top of that foot. And then release that. Now just, you can bring this foot onto your thigh or leave it on the floor, but bring your fingers under your toes, curl those toes down, so big stretch here in the top of your foot, and then we're gonna take our two first fingers right there in the middle of the foot, down about inch, 3/4 of an inch, and then pull back and you'll feel that little nerve, plantar fascia push into your foot. It's right there. So we start down at the heel and you're pressing kind of hard, and there I feel the little bumps. And you go up to the ball of the foot. It shouldn't really hurt. The worst thing about this is the pressure you're doing with your fingers. But it shouldn't really hurt your foot. You can do this as long as you want to. I'm going to do it a couple more times. Still got those little toes pulled back. Sorry, I don't have any canine help today. Ajax is looking in at me. And then release your toes. Take your thumb right here in the middle of your foot, right there on the ball of the foot, and just gently press down. Take some breaths. Now you can hear them because they're so abused. And then over right under the ball, under the big toe on the ball of the foot. You can even kind of roll that thumb around. And then over under the little toe. And then take your index finger right under your toes. And then you're just going to curl the toes over. Pretty good little stretch in the top of the foot. And just take some breaths. And then release that. Curl those toes around again. And then have your block handy and the balls and the yoga mat or the foam roller. We're going to stand up. Take the yoga mat or your foam roller And you may want a wall. So what we're gonna do is just take, I've got my left foot, depends on which way you're looking at the camera, but just step up on the mat. That's cut my head off, but you don't need to see my head because you're seeing what I'm doing with our feet. And then you're gonna take your right foot and just take a natural step forward and lift that heel up, that left heel, the heel that's on the mat or the roller, and just lift it up and down. Press it back in. The mats kind of give, the foam rollers give, you don't want anything too hard right here. And then release that, so the wall's right here if you need it, or your table. And then step that other foot back. I'm going to scoot up so you can see. And just press that foot down. And just kind of lift that heel up that's off the mat. So you're pushing your other foot into it. What this does is it spreads your foot apart. Spreads those toes out. Makes you use kind of all of your foot. One more time. And then release that. Now switch feet. So put that other foot on the mat. Take a step forward and then just lift that foot up and down off the one that's on the mat. Just lift that heel up and down. And you can do this as long as you want. And then when you're ready, push that heel down, step your other foot back, scoot up, and then lift the foot up that's off the mat. Lift that heel up and down. You're going to work on your balance. Put your hands on your hips. One more time. And then release that. Now turn and put your heels on the mat. Balls of the feet are on the floor. And then just start to squat. Now this, there are my knees. This depends on your knees, depends on the way your hips are built. In a squat, your rear may never get close to the ground. Your heels may always be up. Your feet may turn out, that's fine. Just make sure the knees turn out too. You know, if this is your squat, you actually get a little inner thigh stretch, so there's nothing wrong with that. But if your heels don't come to the ground, this is a good way to kind of feel like they are on the ground. Squats are a good release for your hips and your low back. They're actually good for your knees too. So try to work a squat in every day. You know, squat down, see what kind of crap's in your cabinet. Or if you're at the grocery store, you know, squat down and look at something on the bottom shelf. Now, lift up. This is the tricky one. I'm going to move it up just so I don't bump into the wall. Put the balls of your feet on the mat and squat down. My heels are coming up. So you could have your block handy here. Couple of deep breaths. Might be feeling your ankles. And then just release your hands to the floor, lift up and move that poor little flattened out yoga mat. Have the balls handy and then get your block. And we're gonna come over to the wall. You can turn to the side, but I'm going to turn this way so you can see. So foot up on the block. Let your heel kind of hang off, and then use that other foot. This is a kind of tall block. There's yoga blocks that are a little thinner. But we're gonna let that other foot, we're gonna come up onto the toes and the ball of the foot, and then just let this heel drop. So you get a nice calf stretch. You can do this with the yoga block. If you have stairs at your house, go to the bottom stair, not the top one. Hang on to the rails and stretch your calves. Now, just lift this other leg up and kind of swing it back and forth. And then release that. Switch your feet. So let that other heel drop down till you feel that calf. Move my foot up here so you can see. Just let it drop down. And then start to slowly swing this other leg. You're not kicking soccer balls, you're not kicking footballs, you're not kicking somebody you're mad at. You can think you are, but... And then release that. So move the block, get the balls. Actually, you just really need one ball. So set that ball down, and we're going to step on it right in the middle of a foot. So you just need the wall here because we don't normally go around standing on balls, but just press down into that ball. Breathe. And then just start to roll back and forth. You might feel this. Your little foot may be going, what are you doing? What's going on? But later I can guarantee you your foot's gonna go, that feels a lot better. Roll up to the ball of your foot. Just let the heel come down and then wrap the toes around like you're gonna pick that ball up. Maybe you can. And then lift the toes, and as you press, roll to the heel and push down. So this is really where you need a table or a wall. And then kind of grind that heel like you're grinding something into the ground. Like myofascial release classes I teach, we do this usually at the end of each class, and there's usually a ball or two that goes shooting out from somebody. And then just roll back and forth a couple more times. Roll to the inside of that foot, and then carefully the outside. This is where the balls usually go crazy because the sharp edge of your foot, there's not a lot there. Ooh, and then release that. Now just put that foot on the floor. Compare it to your other foot. Looks, feels a little deflated, a little more spread out, a little more stretched out. So switch feet and start by just putting that ball right in the middle of your foot and pushing down. If you've got some kind of foot damage, you know, this probably isn't for you. Maybe just gently, you know, you can not press. You can just kind of have your foot on it and roll it around like we did when we were sitting down. And then start to go back and forth. Whoops, see? Again, not a perfect video. No dubbing or editing. And then roll up to the ball of your foot. Kind of push down, let your heel drop down. And then wrap your toes around the ball. So here's that stretch in the top of the foot again. And then lift those toes up and press slowly, carefully as you roll to your heel. Might have to step up a little bit. And then put that heel on the ball and kind of grind it. Breathe. And then roll back and forth. Go into the inside of the foot and the outside. Oops. And then step off that ball. Feel both your little feet. Just bring your arms back. Reach your arms up. Can't see mine. And then exhale. Release down. So you are done. I'm going to come back in to a squat to say goodbye. See if my heels will drop down. There they go. So just take a few deep breaths and a little squat or maybe a forward bend. Just watch out for those hamstrings. And then we are done. Thank you. See you in the next video.